Wonders of Italy, most beautiful places, travel video. The world we live in is far stranger than fiction, hiding landscapes that seem to have been painted by extraterrestrial hands rather than shaped by nature. From glowing mineral lakes to towering rock spires shrouded in mist, these places challenge our perception of reality and leave travelers questioning whether they're still on Earth. Imagine standing on a salt flat so perfectly reflective that the sky and ground merge into infinity, or walking through twisting sandstone corridors that feel like solidified sunlight. Some locations are alive with color so intense it feels almost unreal, while others are stark and minimalist, stripped down to the essence of otherworldly beauty. Volcanoes erupt in frozen ice fields, desert sculptures rise like abstract art, and waterfalls of mineral deposits glimmer in radiant white. These destinations are not just breathtaking, they tell stories of geological extremes, climatic marvels, and life thriving against unimaginable odds. Each step into these landscapes is an invitation to witness Earth at its most dramatic and bizarre. Prepare to see the planet from perspectives that will make science fiction pale in comparison. This journey is more than sightseeing. It's an exploration of the unimaginable, the alien, and the sublime. Whether you are a traveler, photographer, or dreamer, these 10 locations will forever change the way you see the world. Danakil Depression, Asia, Ethiopia. Imagine a place on Earth so alien that it feels as though humans accidentally stumbled onto Mars, only to realize the air is slightly more breathable. The Danakil Depression stretches across northeastern Ethiopia, a vast expanse of salt flats, acidic hot springs, and neon-colored sulfur deposits that make every inch of the landscape look like a surreal painting. Temperatures can soar past 50 degrees Celsius, yet life somehow clings on in pockets of resilience. From camel caravans carrying salt blocks to small microbial life thriving in conditions that would instantly obliterate most creatures. The constant hiss of geothermal activity and bubbling acid pools gives a sense of being in a natural science experiment. And yet the place has been inhabited for centuries, a testimony to human adaptation. It's not just the otherworldly colors that capture the imagination, but the strange textures of salt formations that crunch underfoot, forming jagged, crystalline landscapes that are impossible to replicate anywhere else on Earth. Visitors often describe an eerie silence punctuated only by the wind or distant geothermal eruptions, and stepping onto this terrain is like walking on the threshold between two worlds. Photography here feels almost cheating because the visuals seem too extreme to be real, but every frame is authentic and more mesmerizing than most sci-fi landscapes ever imagined. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. The largest salt flat on Earth, Salar de Uyuni, in Bolivia, is a phenomenon that defies expectations of reality itself. Imagine a mirror stretching endlessly in every direction, reflecting the sky so perfectly that the horizon disappears and gravity seems optional. Beneath this surreal surface lies an enormous reserve of lithium, making it not just visually stunning, but geopolitically and economically significant. During the rainy season, the shallow layer of water transforms the flat into an infinite sky, where it is impossible to tell where the ground ends and the clouds begin. The flatness is so precise that pilots and engineers have used it as a natural runway and calibration site, but for travelers, it is a surreal playground that inspires awe and disorientation at the same time. Even walking across it is a strange experience. The crunch of salt underfoot contrasts sharply with the dizzying visual illusions above. There are also mysterious hexagonal patterns etched naturally into the surface by cycles of evaporation and crystallization, creating geometric art no human could design. The place feels both tranquil and dizzying, a balance of stark minimalism and overwhelming vastness that leaves a deep impression long after leaving. Wulingyuan, China. Wulingyuan, in China's Hunan province, is a forest of sandstone pillars rising dramatically from the misty valleys, looking so fantastical that it inspired the floating Hallelujah Mountains in the movie Avatar. Each pillar, carved over millions of years by erosion, reaches hundreds of meters into the sky, shrouded in clouds that appear to be suspended in midair. Walking through this region is like entering a dreamscape, where vertical cliffs and suspended walkways create dizzying perspectives that blur reality and imagination. Lush vegetation clings to the rock faces, adding unexpected bursts of green against the reddish-brown stone, creating an interplay of color and depth that seems choreographed for maximum visual impact. The region is so vast and varied that one can spend days exploring without ever seeing the same angle twice. Locals have navigated these pillars for generations, often using rope bridges and trails carved into the stone, showing a harmony between human activity and extreme natural formations. Despite its popularity, Iwilingyuan retains a sense of mystique because the fog and clouds constantly reshape what the visitor sees, making every moment feel freshly alien. The combination of towering sandstone spires, verdant patches, and atmospheric mists creates a scene that feels almost too otherworldly to exist on our planet. Mount Roraima, Venezuela. Mount Roraima rises like a colossal tabletop from the flatlands of Venezuela, Guyana, and Brazil. It's so perfectly vertical that it seems to be a natural skyscraper of rock. This tepue is surrounded by cliffs that drop abruptly into the jungle below, giving it an isolated aura, as if it is a secret realm untouched by time. The summit hosts ecosystems found nowhere else, with endemic species of plants and insects that have evolved in isolation for millions of years. Fog often cloaks the top, creating a sense of suspense, like the planet itself is hiding its treasures. Saw streams of water trickle over the edge into the abyss, carving the rock and producing constant rainbows in the mist. Climbing to the plateau is an expedition in itself, involving trekking through dense rainforest, sudden rainstorms, and steep ascents that test endurance and determination. Yet reaching the summit rewards visitors with panoramic views that are utterly surreal. Fields of strange vegetation, rock formations shaped by erosion into geometric patterns, and clouds drifting below the viewpoint. The alien appearance of Mount Roraima is amplified by its sheer vertical walls, unusual flat-top silhouette, and the combination of weathered rock and vibrant greenery, making it seem simultaneously uninhabited and teeming with life. Iceland's Diamond Beach. Diamond Beach in Iceland is a coastline where icebergs from nearby glaciers drift onto black volcanic sand, creating a contrast so intense it feels like stepping onto a set from a sci-fi movie. And the ice chunks, sometimes crystal clear and other times deep blue, glisten in sunlight like scattered diamonds, catching every eye that dares to linger. Each iceberg has its own character: jagged edges, smooth surfaces, or partially melted patterns that make them feel like frozen sculptures. As the tide shifts, the ice pieces move, collide, and rearrange, ensuring that no two visits are visually identical. Nearby glacial lagoons feed this spectacle, bringing massive chunks of ice from melting glaciers into the shallow ocean where the black sand dramatically amplifies the visual contrast. Observing this place, one realizes the scale of natural forces at work: glacial carving, ocean currents, and volcanic soil, all collaborating to create a scene that feels both fragile and permanent. Walking along Diamond Beach is an exercise in patience and awe, as ice pieces melt quickly in warmer weather and the landscape constantly evolves, forcing the observer to witness ephemeral beauty that is impossible to capture fully in photographs. It is a place that teaches respect for nature's artistry while simultaneously making the visitor feel as though they have entered a frozen world that exists outside of time. Antelope Canyon, USA. Antelope Canyon in Arizona is a slot canyon carved over millennia by water and wind, forming winding passages of sandstone that glow in shades from deep red to soft pink when sunlight filters through. The twisting corridors create optical illusions and dramatic shadows that make the canyon seem alive, almost as though it is breathing in light and exhaling color. Photography enthusiasts often find themselves mesmerized by the patterns and textures, but walking through it in person is an immersive experience, where sound echoes differently and every curve brings a surprise. Light beams penetrate narrow openings in the roof, illuminating dust particles in midair, and creating the sensation of walking through solidified sunlight. The canyon also carries a spiritual significance for local Native American tribes, adding a layer of cultural depth to its natural beauty. Its narrow passages challenge movement and perspective, making every turn a blend of anticipation and discovery. The surreal shapes, soft flowing lines, and interplay of light and shadow make Antelope Canyon feel more like a dreamscape than a terrestrial location. An environment that constantly shifts with the angle of the sun and the observer's attention. For visitors, it is a lesson in both patience and wonder, as the canyon unfolds slowly, yet rewards fully with every careful step and gaze. Pamukkale, Turkey. Pamukkale is a surreal landscape in southwestern Turkey, famous for its cascading white terraces formed by mineral-rich hot springs. The terraces resemble frozen waterfalls or cotton fields and are naturally formed from centuries of calcite deposition, giving them a shimmering, almost artificial appearance. Visitors can walk barefoot along the terraces, feeling the smooth, warm mineral water and observing small pools where the water collects, each with its own crystalline pattern. Beyond the aesthetics, Pamukkale has a deep historical connection, as the nearby ancient city of Hierapolis thrived on the therapeutic and economic benefits of the hot springs. The interplay of ancient ruins with the pristine white terraces creates a juxtaposition between civilization and nature's untouched artistry. The visual contrast of the bright white travertine against the surrounding landscape is striking, often producing an almost blinding brilliance under the midday sun. Each pool reflects the sky, creating mini mirrors that amplify the sense of being in an otherworldly place where geometry, water, and light intersect. Pamukkale is an example of how geological processes can produce landscapes that feel entirely designed, making it a natural wonder that appeals to both photographers and travelers seeking an ethereal experience. White Desert, Egypt. The White Desert in Egypt, also known as Sahara el-Beida, is a vast expanse of chalk rock formations sculpted by wind and sand into shapes that mimic mushrooms, animals, and abstract art. The monochromatic palette gives it a lunar quality, with the white rocks gleaming under the desert sun and shadows stretching dramatically across the sand. Traveling here is a visual adventure, where every bend of the path reveals a new sculpture, making navigation feel like exploring a gallery curated by nature itself. The desert's isolation adds to the alien sensation, as there are few signs of life, and the contrast of white formations against golden sand dunes creates a stark, cinematic effect. Camping under the stars enhances the experience, as the lack of light pollution allows a full display of the Milky Way, seemingly suspended just above the surreal rock spires. The formations themselves are constantly evolving, eroded slowly over time by wind, reminding visitors of the transient nature of these landscapes. It is a place that combines geological wonder with a quiet, meditative quality, where humans feel simultaneously insignificant and privileged to witness such untouched beauty. The natural sculptures are unlike anything else on Earth, making the White Desert a place that feels plucked from imagination rather than reality. Mount Erebus, Antarctica. Mount Erebus, the southernmost active volcano on the planet, towers over Antarctica with a persistent plume of smoke rising from its crater, signaling continuous volcanic activity in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The stark, icy landscape surrounding the volcano emphasizes its isolation, and the contrast of fire and ice creates a visual paradox that is almost impossible to witness elsewhere. Despite extreme cold and constant winds, Mount Erebus maintains a molten lava lake, a phenomenon that fascinates scientists and adventurers alike. The terrain is challenging, with ice falls, crevasses, and rocky slopes demanding careful navigation, but the reward is witnessing a planetary environment that is both extreme and alive. Researchers studying Erebus observe unique extremophile organisms and geological activity that provide insights into conditions on other planets, lending the volcano an almost astrobiological significance. The visual impact is unmatched. Molten red against white ice, constant steam against frozen terrain, and the feeling of standing in a place where the raw energy of the planet is tangible. Lake Natron, Tanzania. Lake Natron in northern Tanzania is an eerie yet mesmerizing body of water that appears unnaturally red due to high concentrations of salt and microorganisms. The surface often reflects a deep, rusty hue that contrasts sharply with the pale, ashy surroundings, producing a scene that is almost apocalyptic in its intensity. The alkaline waters can calcify birds and small animals that die in the lake, creating haunting natural sculptures, though life persists in the form of flamingos and specialized microorganisms. The lake's extreme environment creates a paradox of beauty and hostility, with vibrant mineral formations along the shore creating textures that are otherwise unimaginable. Observing the flamingos that use natron as a breeding ground adds a delicate counterpoint to the harshness of the water, creating a dynamic interplay between survival and adaptation. The intense colors, shifting mineral deposits, and alien atmosphere make it feel like stepping onto a different planet entirely. Photographers and explorers are drawn to natron precisely because it challenges perception, blending stark danger with visual splendor to craft an unforgettable experience. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to never miss another journey to the most surreal places on Earth. Share your thoughts in the comments and tell us which planet-like destination you want to explore next. Stay curious and keep discovering the world beyond imagination.